ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Thank you, John Larson. I receive your kind words on behalf of all of our courageous members of the House of Representatives who want the best for the American people. And what we can do that is best for them in the next 24 hours is to pass affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. The best for all Americans is to have 32 million more people to have health insurance in our country. The best for...
Piece of stinking filth.
Shh, say it again, Shali. This is AJ of the InfoWars. Listen to the Shaliak. This is Alex Jones of InfoWars. Listen to Shaliak on the Cold Reality News and Report.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Well, hello there.
This week on Cult Reality Radio. He's up, he's down, she's up, she's down. The shocking polls from the commoner vote. Trump back in striking distance. The movie, the dog and pony show. Running. And then your vote counts in November. Isn't that so exciting? Rio Olympics rocked by new doping scandal. U.S. men's basketball team accidentally visits brothel. We thought it was a spa. You know, the big stories. Iran executes nuclear scientists who spy for the USA. Trump backs Ryan. Paul Ryan stares down GOP revolt in his backyard. It's a GOP revolt. The other women see Stein rise. Newly released American drone policy explains how U.S. citizens and other targets can be chosen. Ex-CIA chief and torture defender endorses Clinton. Why are the Democrats cheering? Texas mom uncovers massive culture of corruption and sex scandals at U.S. Secret Service. WikiLeaks says Hillary supplied cash, weapons, and tanks to al-Qaeda to kill Gaddafi and ship weapons for terror. Welcome to this edition of Cold Reality Radio here on the UCY.TV Broadcasting Network. Sunday, August 7th. It is. And welcome out there. It's made more sense recently to me how the whole, system really, really works. And as we get further down the road, I'm sure you've heard this phrase before from Mr. 80% truth, 20% occulting information, and who is actually truly behind, our dismay globally. And, the enemy is uncloaking. You'll hear that. And a lot of these things, there's a lot of things that Mr. Jones has said in the past that is really kind of, I think it kind of resonates with people because, actually that's what it's kind of supposed to do. It's supposed to resonate with people. and their untrust of the world leaders, our so-called elected public servants, who it's pretty obvious now that they don't really listen to the people. Actually, they do listen to the people. They don't listen to the commoners. Okay. See, and that's where the trick, comes in. Is they don't really listen to the commoners. They listen to the people, and we are not the people. Okay, we are not the people. Therefore, the Constitution does not apply to us. But there's been, strides to make us believe that it still kind of does. But when push comes to shove and it will expose something that is really very interesting, then they will find some way to punish you, but while still making you think that your constitutional rights have not been usurped. So again, here we are on this August 7th, and just so many things going on. Obviously, this election, if that's what you call it, like Payday says every November, they make you think that an election's on. All right. Actually, Payday sent me his new release the other day called Murder by Numbers, and I've gotten a chance to listen to a number of them. He sent me the information yesterday, or I believe it was Friday evening, or at some point, and when I got online, there it was, Murder by Numbers. So that is the new release for Payday. He said, "Hey brother, one of the first people I thought of with a new album to promote. I will get you an advanced personal copy." And so I've got some of it. He covers a lot of different things. There's some, personal things going on in his life. So he decided to kind of, put that in some of his tracks. So it's very exciting. He sent me back in 2012, around the end of that, around the end of that year, he sent me Missiles with Relish, which, I listened to, was on one of the tracks, and I listened to that one predominantly, and then I started listening to some of the other tracks that were on there, and this thing is, and I've listened to some of his older stuff, and I've listened to a little bit of the new stuff. Missiles with Relish, for me, is one of the greatest creations within this genre of music and rapping and things like that. Very, very interesting, and it's I still listen to it practically on a daily basis. I listen to a lot of the tracks on Missiles with Relish, and I'm sure that this is going to happen with the same with the new release, Murder by Numbers. And so the important note here is that creativity that Payday has, the drive and the just absolute skills that he has not stopped, using these incredible gifts that he's been granted by the Creator. So, again, UCY.tv today. See what's happening in the chat room. As you can hear, it's still quite warm and uncomfortable outside with the humidity. So I've got some technology here to cool the air and make my podcast a comfortable one. Let's see here. You can see why. But it really is just absolutely what we're seeing now, what we've seen over the years with politics, which is run by the people, not by the commoners. But again, they do a really good job in making us believe that we are part of the process. And with the enemy uncloaking now, you see so many people that realize that Hillary was garbage, is garbage, and it really kind of shows that there are ways that the system, which is their system, not our system, there are ways that they are going to steer and try to kind of cover up for the blatant things that were going on. I believe that Bernie was there to make it look legitimate in some sense, because O'Malley and some of the one or two of these other people who never had a fucking chance, nobody ever voted for them. At least on the Republican side, there was Cruz, and then there were some other people that had scum, garbage scum, which is Ted Cruz and and Jeb and that. It's very, very obvious to me and others that even now Trump he's showing his true colors, that he is indeed a ringer for Hillary. Just some of the things that he said from the very beginning, like building a wall, throwing people out of the country. You don't run on that. You say, we're really going to address the border situation. Okay, that would have been a little less caustic. Okay, we're going to we're going to have to really vet and people, instead of focusing on Muslim. You're just going to piss off a whole lot of people. And then of course he backs that up by saying, addressing the political correctness, and that it's destroying the country. So that just gives him carte blanche to really open up the book and say things, but then he took it to an incredible level, in the sense that he just said such things in a way that it was just going to piss a whole lot of people off, and say, he really, what I'm saying is he could have done it a different way. If he intended to build a wall and then have Mexico pay for it, he truly could have said something much different. But because he's saying these things now, he's being classified as mentally ill. He's being classified as so many things that we're not even sure whether he is. I mean, you see Trump, and I watched more of the Republican National Convention than I did the Democratic. Not much. I just wanted to hear like certain people speak. I actually did see Bloomberg speak at DNC and how he was saying, I am an independent. I'm not part of the Republican or Democrat. He's so full of fucking shit. You can smell it. He's the gun grabber, the another one of the tribe who is just incredibly rich. When you have somebody as incredibly rich as he is, there should be no reason why. He would have become the mayor of New York City, because people with brains that are working even at half capacity would have realized that there's some kind of major conflict of interest going on. But of course, you see a lot of this. You see a lot of these incredibly rich people buying into being mayors and things like that. You've got one thing that you will see with New York City is like, when was the last time that they had a black mayor? When was the last time you saw that? Does anybody know when the last black mayor of New York City? You got a white mayor now. Another Clintonite. You got Bloomberg. You had Rudolph, the red-nosed douchebag, America's mayor during 9/11. Ugh. Remember, never respect flattering titles. Never respect flattering titles. And what is America? Nothing but a fucking one flattering title after the next. And what do flattering titles do? They open the door to deceiving the commoners. We gotta have a leader. Well, we gotta have one. I mean, there has to be a president. Yeah, for the people, there has to be a president. There has to be a CEO for the United States Corporation. Of course there has to be. And they choose the presidents. You don't. The people choose the president. The commoners do not. Just enjoying some summertime beverages here. Right, David Dinkins, right. And that was the 80s, right? All right, so that was quite some time ago. And I knew that I was thinking that Dinkins was a mayor there. But and look what we have had recently, okay? A city like New York, at this time, over the last, 25 years, you're not going to see. Philadelphia had what was it? Frank Rizzo in the 80s. Frank Rizzo! Remember him from the Jerky Boys? This is Frank Rizzo. And so, just recently, a white mayor, and but the thing here is that you see a pattern here of cities across this fine country that mayors are, in certain areas, mayors are black. And it's really, truly to kind of control the black people in the cities. To make it look like, hey, look, there's a black mayor. I could be mayor one day. I don't think so. Pardon me. So you see a lot of the mayors and mayor of Atlanta, black man. Not saying that shouldn't be. What I'm saying is the reason that it's there to control the black population. It's there to control the black population. And so as I'm looking into the RT.com arena, I see that Chris Hedges has a new show on there. Once a journalist for the New York Times, and then he even went into the Middle East. He traveled around the world covering stories where he found out the truth about Gaza. He found out the truth about largely what's kind of happening in the Middle East, right? Sorry, Dan. Actually, that was probably the first time that I belched because, it was just the content of the story or my banter. So I'm watching that and I'm seeing, and it was one from around the time of the Democratic National Convention started on July 5th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. So 4 days starting on Monday, the 25th. And of course, the people in the city, or the commoners, decided that they were going to have a group that you never even heard of because they don't want you to know who they are. Let's see if I can find it on here, and I'll post the interview that he did. But, at one point I thought, Hedges, he's a liberal. He still believes in the climate change. He still believes in some of these things that, some of these things that we know that the same system that is telling you that man is the cause of what's happening to the planet, the weather, and things like that. They're spraying the skies. They're doing incredible damage to the. They're doing incredible damage to the environment from not only the geoengineering but to the fracking, pouring chemicals into the ground, really just fucking destroying, nature or God. There's got to be a better way to extract some of these resources. I do not believe that. I don't believe that. Oil is bad. I believe that oil is created by. Comes out of the ground, just like, marijuana comes out of the ground, then it should be used for something. And if you have listened to any of my friend Greg, who is, into oil, production and processing of oil, oil is used to create pretty much everything. Okay. And of course, the same people that are pushing for oil are the same ones that are, they control their opposition so that they can control the narrative. So oil is not bad. It's what they've done with it. It's what they've created to not only fleece us. I spoke last week about energy and how we pay top dollar for energy when nuclear is an option. Small nuclear type devices that could give us energy. Right, you got Marion Barry, who was the mayor of the District of Criminals, but at the same time, you see they really need a black mayor there to control Washington, D.C.'s black population that is disenfranchised because of class warfare and the overall blueprint of America. And it is, and it has been the blueprint of America, that you have to create different classes of people, because you can't have people being on the same platform. You can't have people being on the same level. You have to have people that have money and people that do not have money. And like George Bush said, George W. Bush, look what we got here. We have the haves and the have-mores. Beavis W. Bush. All right? So these classes of people have to be created, and so that comes into play when, ultimately black people are poor because the Democrats have made them complacent. The money, and a lot of whites too. A lot of white, people out there are in the same category as some of the black, economically destroyed groups of people. So you got to have these groups. You got to have these groups. And then it really comes into play when the Ku Klux Klan, created by the people, all right, not the commoners, the people, the Ku Klux Klan, created predominantly by the Democrats, so that they could create racial division, ultimately to distract whites, blacks, and anyone else that comes into the United States corporation, to distract them, divide and conquer them, so that they don't really see that America and its history basically just full of shit. And I think George Carlin really kind of said it the best when he said, America is so full of shit that they would sit there and believe a bunch of so-called founding fathers, which were the people, and their posterity, the people and their posterity still running large portions of America, by the way, would own slaves and say everybody has the right to be, everybody has the right to be, we're all equal in the eyes of God, or blah, 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 okay? And that's the way that it should be. But we've been so societally engineered, and we know this. I'm preaching to the choir here in the chat room. That we have such division and such. Polarization, if you will, or just, divide, that people do not really truly focus on the people that are really doing the oppressing. And we know that the oppressors, or the victims, in that World War I, World War II arena, the so-called victims were actually the oppressors. The victims were actually the oppressors. And then when you look at the way the low level classes of any different group of people are used by the ones that have money, that there's actually a war on pretty much every single one of us. I've always said some of the most brainwashed people are the Catholics and the Jews, just totally brainwashed by bullshit scripture. Total bullshit. And today we see this Judeo-Christian world, and it's like, what? But of course, you have to be classified as something, more flattering titles. I'm a Catholic. Well, I'm a Jew. Well, I'm a this and I'm a that. Okay. We've all been labeled, and like I heard for the first time, listening to Clint's Corporation Nation, it is better to be no thing than something, which of course is absolutely opposite of what you would think that this life and this life's goals would be. To be you want to become something. No, because when you become something, then you get classified, then you can be extracted from, then you can be a slave without really understanding that classification. Like Stephen says, not a person or citizen, .blogspot.com, not a person or citizen. As soon as you become a citizen, boom, then you become part of the citizenship. Okay, ran into a woman yesterday at a department store. Was looking for ice cube trays. Ice is very, very important in the middle of summer. I'm going to go into that a little bit. So I run into this woman, and she's asking me. She's probably like 5 foot fucking tall. Okay. Probably like 70 something, but she's still moving around, getting the stuff that she needs. And I find out just by, having a conversation. She asked me, like, it was $8, and it was a knife sharpener or some kind of, and I thought, I guess that's pretty cool. I guess that's a good price. I said, the only way that you're going to get a lower price on that is if you get online. And she was like, no, I threw the computer out. And, currently she's texting to be, to stay in touch with her, grandchildren and things like that. So, I thought that was kind of sweet. And through our conversation, I found out that she's a Russian Jew, who worked in a medical arena with in radiology. Sweet woman, sweet woman. And, it was just really, really, and it was kind of like a microcosm of how fucked up America is, because as we're standing there and we're talking about different things, and of course I tried to enlighten her on a number of different things that, are really, truly going on, that, the left and right is just, run by the same money sources. I don't know if they were Muslims, but this one woman, and then there was a girl that was probably, God, she must have been like 14 or 15, and she was sitting in the cart, and she was taking up most of the cart, like you couldn't even put anything in there, right? So they're walking down there, and then they go to make a right, and the woman I was speaking to had to pull the cart over, and then they went through, right? And then the woman I was speaking with, she looked and she said, "Oh, I hope that she can get out of that cart," right? And then about 5 seconds later, I think the woman that was pushing the cart, the mother or whatever, had said, "That's not your concern. That's not your concern." I think I'm paraphrasing. And I just call her, Betty, the woman that I was talking to. And she did not mean anything derogatory at all. She just saw that I saw that the girl, even before I started talking to Betty, I saw the other folks that were there, the black folks. I think they might have been Muslims or something. And I was like, wow, man, she's really in that. I didn't think, like, how's she going to get out of there? I'm like, how the hell did she get in there, But I did not thinking anything derogatory. That's not my mindset. I'm not out there judging people. People are a victim of this system. They are a victim of societal engineering by incredibly, incredibly wealthy, demonic families who own the news and own every bit of anything that has any importance whatsoever. And I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, God, how fucked up do you have to say something like that? It's not like Betty said something like, that's fucked up. How are you going to get out of there? No, she was just like, oh, how is she going to get out of that thing? Just seeing someone in a cart, it's weird, kind of a little weird. It's like, for me, people going down the street inside in a store, riding one of those motor scooter things. I'm like, it's so weird. They're driving inside. It's weird. It's like seeing somebody ride a bicycle in a department store. It's like, what? That's weird. It just doesn't click in your mind. All right. So I'm there, buying a ice cube tray. Not even much a tray. It's kind of like a little plastic. Well, it's supposed to be silicone, but BPA free silicone. So anyway, but it was just and apparently her husband had died, and she left. She worked for one of the medical, and she just saw, like, over the years how the whole system changed, and now people were being treated differently than they used to. The bedside manner is quite different than what it used to be. And that's because it was always, and, according to Patrick Jordan, modern day medicine is a military attack on the citizenship. Okay? And there's a lot of information that can absolutely, totally back that statement up. And so she kind of get out of that, but she was a nice lady of Russian Jewish descent, and doing talking about the opportunities as an immigrant. So, and then of course that's none of your concern. Like she was being like this little old lady for all intent and purpose was trying to say, like she was being negative or having issue with the girl being in the cart. It's just so fucked up. The society's so fucked up that they can't just, Listen, guys, about the oil, okay? I'll post something in there. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but, talk about what you want in there, but there's a lot of information out there that says that Oil is not a fossil fuel. All right? We'll do a show about that. But, of course, they have to turn it into something else to be able to demonize it and then also make money from it and control it. So, all right, so ice cubes, all right? I bought some ice cube trays with covers because I've always been not a fan of just ice cubes that taste bad. Can I get a I know right from the chat room there? Anyway, so I bought these ice cubes and ice cube trays and a lot of this because I want to be able to make a lot of ice cubes and then put them in there so that there's never an ice cube deficit. Does that make sense? I mean, I really want to have a lot of ice cubes. And not just be like sitting there waiting for ice to freeze so that I can have a cold drink in the middle of summer, right? I mean, does that make sense? I want to have ice cubes in abundance. And, make some iced coffee or something like that, Some iced coffee. Call Reality Radio here on the UCY.TV Broadcasting Network, 1051 on the east coast of Nightmerica. And I just got to the point where I was like, what? Well, there is an ice cube crisis within these very walls. I'm like, I need more ice cubes. I need a surplus of cubes. And not only just regular cubes, but, like big square cubes that would... Yeah, see, I want to use, distilled water. I want to make my own ice cubes. I don't want to buy bags of ice, Otto. I think you understand why. I want to make my own cubes, and I want to have an abundance of them. So that if I want some ice water, if I want some, just anything, if I want to make some iced coffee, that it'll be there for me in abundance. Even bought a nice little scoop, little scoop for the ice, so I don't have to get in there and start grabbing ice cubes. You know what I'm saying? Not mean. And so there's that. So I bought some trays and accessories to be able to fulfill and eradicate the crisis of the ice within these very confines. And I think there's even ice cube trays out there where you can make spherical ice cubes. And I think that's just really exciting. You're going to get ice cubes. You should have them in any form that you like. I think that's exciting. If you can't control anything in this world, at least control ice cubes and iced cubology, if you will. I'm a cubologist. If that's what I want to be. I want to understand and control ice in my own environment within the confines of this domicile. Right? And see, well, maybe if a little toddler comes by and says, "Hey, I want some ice water." Like, here, toddler, here's some ice. give some ice to the toddler, put it in its little sippy cup, and be like, here, I put some ice in your toddler cup. You toddler. You're a toddler, and you deserve ice. You deserve nice cubes. There you go. I want some, there you go, pyramid ice cubes to show that I'm down with the Illuminats. Baconator 1000 wants a pyramid ice cube tray that he can. I think you know what? I think that can totally be done. You just have to build the tray. Build the tray. And then the cubes they just pour the water into the tray that creates the pyramid cube. It does, Let's see here. It seems there's a heated debate over oil that I started this morning. I apologize. I apologize. Right. So there's that. Right. Indeed. Some people like crushed ice, and I'm all for that. But at the same time, I'm also about, decent sized ice cubes that take a long time to melt down and provide the type of, I've got them in here right now. I've got these cubes in here. I got 2 of these square cubes. You know what? And they're doing pretty good in there. Actually, hold on a second. I'm going to pour myself some tea in there. There you go. I'm going to pour that in there. There you go. All right. And all this stuff about, it's just so ridiculous about, the Muslim Brotherhood. And just this whole fucking thing going on. Hear the cubes? It's so exciting. Hail Hydra. This whole thing about, Muslims and shit like that. And we know that this is... we know who's doing all this. We know who created these groups and who's funding them and all that stuff. Well, we know that, and but the average commoner just doesn't understand what's really truly happening. What's really truly happening in their, not their world. What's truly happening in this world? Because the world does not fucking belong to. This world does not belong to us. This land's not your land. This land's not my land. Not from California to the New York Islands. Just totally is not. But you got to be sold that you got some kind of stake in this. You got to be sold that you've got some kind of stake in this thing. Where people think that they can actually own land and right. No, you're just a renter. Even if you buy a house, you're just a renter. The only thing you can do is get some land, build some properties, rent them out, and then, and only then, can you possibly live tax-free by having your renters basically pay your way. But you can't always count on them, you know. You can't always count on them. Shaken, not stirred. Meh. All right. All right, so again, we've got Trump back in striking distance, blah blah blah. Fucking polls, the commoners. It doesn't even matter. These polls mean fucking nothing. It's just there as a deceptionary tactic to make you think that you've got something to do with things. Something to do. Of course, cash payment to Iran, a felony, right? Mendacity behind Obama's mockery. All right. Syrian refugees resettled far from wealthy D.C. suburbs. The burps. And it's, let's see here. Yeah. Florida officials go into damage control mode over Zika. You know, where was all this incredible urgency when Ebola and people with Ebola were being brought into the corporation? Where was this incredible... There was this incredible need to take care of the health of folk when the whole, Ebola fiasco was rolling out. And now we've got FDA approves releasing mutant mosquitoes to handle the other mosquitoes. This, understand that this is most likely the end game tactic, and all others prior to that were leading up to this, meaning H1N1, SARS, all the bird flu stuff, all this testing, all these things. Much like when they found out that shooting animal proteins, infectious animal proteins into human bodies was a good way to slowly wreck a mofo. This is what's going on here with the with this whole Zika thing. Them spraying in Florida, spraying the population to try and kill the these Zika mosquitoes that, for all intent and purpose, there's actually no link between these mosquitoes and these tiny brain kids. No link whatsoever. But when you can control the media and you control the World Health Organization, the CDC, and all of these other flattering titled organizations, you can lie massively to everyone and anyone who can't think for themselves. So now we're going to release the mutant skeeters into. That's a nasty little bitch, man. Look at that friggin' skeeter. The FDA just green-lit releasing mutant Zika-killing mosquitoes in Florida. All right. The lab insects are bred so that over time they could kill off much of the local mosquito population by passing on a gene fatal to any offspring they have with wild females. See, this is just the embryonic stages of a absolutely catastrophic blueprint. This stuff doesn't even need to be done. This does not even need to happen. But they're going to do it. And whatever it is that they say that's happening in this article is most likely not even really truly happening. Something else is actually happening. But then you'll really never know what that is. More bullshit. Zika zoo. Thousands of dogs roam Dallas. Bites spike 15%. Sounds like a fucking Ricky Bobby PSA. I want to talk to you about rabid dogs running in packs in our major U.S. cities. One suspected ISIS terrorist captured in the U.S. in the past year. That's right. That's right. Yep. It's everybody just wakes up one day and they just decide to join ISIS. No rhyme or reason. They just decide to join ISIS. Yeah. No rhyme, no reason. And it can happen to you. Oh, it can totally happen to you. And even if it didn't, somebody might say that you did. What's this here? I don't even know who this Jill Stein is, but I gotta be honest with you, I don't really give a fuck. Green Party convention, Democratic Party does not give a flying fuck about you. Let's listen to what this young woman has to say.
Who sit on porches. I call them the porch sitters, and I understand. I often want to be a porch sitter. When there's not a lot that you can accomplish and you don't have access to resources, there's a certain point where you just hit a wall and you just I'm just going to at least have some smiles today, right? So but I also deal a lot with elected officials. Because I do a lot of volunteering, a lot of activists, so I deal with a range of people, and I confront constantly the assumptions that people make about poor people who don't have a lot of resources around their intellect, around their abilities, their skill set, their work ethic. And so I've constantly been working to confront those people who make those assumptions with the reality that there's absolutely no connection between these things at all, right? And so then I hear Bernie Sanders, and he's talking about these things, and I get really excited. And suddenly, there are all these additional people who are also getting really excited about these issues and coming together. And it's been a really beautiful ride because we come across people. If you're an activist, that automatically means you care, right? That automatically means you care about something. You care about people, you care about the planet, and your driving force for the work that you do is that love and that passion. So what happened within this movement is that all these passionate people were running up to each other and hugging the crap out of each other all day long and then saying, let's roll up our sleeves and let's get this work done. And we saw what happened through the whole primary process. We saw what the Democratic Party did to the incredible candidacy that Bernie Sanders brought to the table. And we saw what the Democratic Party did to the voters who selected Bernie and who they blocked and who they put someone else in that position who was not the person that the majority of people selected and who has experiencing no consequences to that reality, right? So then there has to be a question. Are you going to try to go inside there and reform this party that has demonstrated in every way, with every opportunity, that they really do not give a flying fuck about what it is that you care about? Or are you going to open up your mind to the possibility that there is something that's in place, an organization, a national organization that's already in place that actually wants to hear from and represent your needs, your interests, and your leadership? And for me, that's not a hard decision. I'm not interested in running up against a bunch of walls. I'm not interested in speaking to no one, because if nobody's listening to you, then you're speaking to an emptiness, right? I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in having my voice, my insights, my experience. I mean, we've got in the Democratic Party people who are billionaires trying to solve the deal and the issues of poverty.
Right.
How are you going to do that? You have no understanding. You have no idea what it's like to walk into your house and your power is off. You have no idea what it's like to watch your 5-year-old daughter open up the refrigerator door and start crying. You have no idea what it's like to walk into your school, your public school, and there's no toilet paper there, and the only way toilet paper is going to get there is if you spend the money you've got when you're trying to decide whether or not to spend your last dime on toilet paper or toothpaste. Now you got to figure out if you're going to buy toothpaste for your house or if you're going to buy toothpaste for the school that your child is going to, that the government's supposed to be providing that for. And you live in a Democratic city, and you're supposed to be believing in the Democrats that run your city. How is that supposed to happen? Exactly. So I exit with the other Dems, and I'm coming here. I think that there's an open invitation here. And to me, it doesn't matter what the Green Party has been, honestly. It doesn't really matter to me if the Green Party has actually been able to accomplish a world of things at this point. It doesn't matter if the Green Party has been fully representative of everybody and everything. What matters to me is that everything that I've heard from people who are in the leadership, as well as from Jill Stein, presidential candidate Jill Stein, is that the Green Party wants to be representative of all of us. Even if it hasn't been, that the Green Party is interested in opening up the doors for everybody who is activating around this goal of a better world. That's right. So I want to say a little something to the Green Party, and I want to say a little something to my fellow Bernie or Busters. To the Green Party, the people who have already been in the Green Party, what I want you to be paying attention to and thinking about really inside your hearts is the fact that you guys are probably, for the most part, mostly American, right?
All right, so, I like a lot of the things that this young woman is saying, but at the same time, is Bernie Sanders not one of those incredibly rich people that pretends that he thinks that he knows what it's like to walk into a house and turn on the lights and not have light, or open up a refrigerator and it be empty? How does Bernie Sanders come into this and become so different from these people? I mean, let's face it. He's been in politics for a while, and he's got more money probably saved and money invested in things. So how is he any different from some of these other millionaires that she was just talking about? And of course I said Bloomberg, like he knows anything about poor people. And of course I'm sure that there's probably 1 or 2 or 3 scenarios out there where Bloomberg is given to charities or something like that. But then again, you have to ask, who are these charities? And is that money actually getting to the people that need it? If in fact he is being charitable, which I don't believe that they are. I don't believe that they are. Let's see here. Bee sting. Walmart shoppers after Hive transaction goes awry. Better get a lawyer over there to represent somebody. Youth radicalized via video games. Of course, that's video game players are now ISIS people. ISIS captures more U.S. weapons in Afghanistan. Trump said that Clinton has a short circuit in her brain. Kane says that being picked for the vice presidency feels like being kidnapped. Well, kind of a weird description. As I said here, Iran executes nuclear scientists for spying for the U.S. That's over at blacklistednews.com. Confirmed Draw Muhammad contest attackers were managed by the FBI. To some of the 2015 shooting, the 2015 shooting in Garland, Texas, at a Draw Muhammad contest organized by state-sponsored agitators seems all too convenient. The protest was meant to prove Muslims were irrational and violent, and amid the protest, 2 armed men did indeed attack, both killed by police who were already on the scene. The event was meant to reinforce the narrative that Islam is an irrational and dangerous ideology, that Muslims pose a danger to America and the West in general, and both Islam and Muslims should be actively resisted culturally, politically, and militarily. And of course, let's take a closer look at this to show how these agencies was the culmination of years of agitation through networks maintained by Washington politicians and policymakers, particularly those who have ironically not only engineered America's various and unending wars begun during the so-called War on Terror, but who have also armed and funded some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on earth via America's Persian Gulf allies. Now it is revealed that not only was the protest organized by politicians and organizations associated with Washington, but the shooting was as well. The 2 suspects were being directed by undercover FBI agents, one of which reportedly told one of the shooters shortly before the attack to tear up Texas. The Daily Beast, in its article, FBI agency apparently egged on Draw Muhammad shooter, would report that days before an ISIS sympathizer attacked a cartoon contest in Garland, Texas, he received a text from an undercover FBI agent. Tear up Texas, the agent messaged Elton Simpson days before he opened fire at the Draw Muhammad event, according to an affidavit over here at Blacklisted News, a PDF document filed in federal court Thursday. The Daily Beast would also report that revelation comes amidst a national debate about the use of undercover officers and human sources in terrorism cases. Undercover sources are used in more than a half of ISIS-related terror cases, according to statistics kept by the George Washington University Program on Extremism, and civil liberties advocates say some of those charged might not have escalated their behavior without those interventions. And of course, that was the whole thing with the Islamophobe lady, Pam Geller, and then, of course, neocon John Bolton. They're just running this whole thing, man. They're running this whole meme, and the stupid people are going to believe. So these people are all fucking full of shit. The news media is fucking full of shit. And there's been more than one article out there that show that so many of these situations have been alphabet agency directed. The toxic climate created by a phenomenon known as Islamophobia is just helping the West justify an increased police state at home and wider wars abroad. It is also playing a role in helping to radicalize Muslims sorely needed to fill the ranks of the West militant fronts in nations like Syria, where they are being used to target and overthrow governments obstructing American special interests. Despite the rhetoric, there are approximately 1.6 billion Muslims on Earth today, meaning that if even 1% were truly as they are characterized by state-sponsored propaganda as violent fanatics bent on global conquest, that would constitute an army of some 16 million strong, or in other words, an army larger than all of the military forces of the industrial world combined. In reality, the number of extremists is low, a fraction of 1% of the total global Muslim population, and the vast majority of these extremists are indoctrinated by U.S., Saudi-funded, and facilitated madrasas, trained, funded, and armed by U.S. and its Persian Gulf allies, Israel being one, and coincidentally waging war on all of the West's enemies, ranging from the now toppled government of Libya to the current governments of Syria and Iraq, as well as even Russia and China. Those feeding into Islamophobia then are in fact aiding and abetting the cycle of violence, ignorance, and fear that keeps viable the West's use of terrorism as a geopolitical tool both at home and abroad. It is particularly ironic that the radical Islam many Westerners are now paralyzed in fear over is in fact a creation of the modern Western state, springing out of Washington-based policy papers, not the pages of the Quran. I think that's pretty powerful right there. And, just the absolute control of the media, control of everything, has people believing something that is wholly not true. Only a fraction of it is possibly relevant because of the way that people are now being treated as a result of this fictional enemy. So fuck all those behind this, and fuck all the idiots that fucking believe it. The BBC to deploy detection vans to snoop on internet users. How nice. Dr. Rio said they actually don't need to decrypt traffic because they can already see the packets. They have control over the iPlayer, so they could ensure that it sends packets at a specific size and match them up. They could also use directional antenna to ensure they are viewing Wi-Fi operating within your property, blah, blah, blah. Once again, Libertarian and Green parties are denied participation in presidential debates. Ex-CIA chief and torture defender endorses Clinton, and I guess that begs the question, why are the Democrats cheering for this? Oh, yes, right, Michael Morell, the absolute shill that you see on Channel 10 on the news all the time, on CIA, this absolute fucking ass puppet for the elite. Whose endorsement would Democrats not treat as a benefit at this point? How bad of an actor does someone need to be? Michael Morell swears in prior to testifying in front of the House Select Intelligence Committee in 2014. So that's over blacklisted news. In a New York Times op-ed, former CIA head Michael Morell on Friday endorsed Hillary Clinton by arguing that the former Secretary of State is highly qualified to be the commander-in-chief because she will deliver on the most important duty of a president, keeping our nation safe. Yeah. Morell went on to praise Clinton's more aggressive approach to the conflict in Syria and to accuse Republican presidential nominee Trump of being an unwitting agent of Putin. So that's a thing now. Putin's a Russian spy, right? I mean, fucking Trump's a Russian spy. He's working for the Reds. Morell doesn't disclose that he currently works for a PR consulting firm run by longtime Clinton ally Philippe Reines. Morell has in the past defended torture, most publicly in a book published as a retort to the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee's report on the CIA torture program during George W. Bush's presidency. And while many in the mainstream media have focused uncritically on the op-ed's Putin phobia, progressives have expressed alarm in that the Clinton campaign and Democratic Party are not only celebrating an endorsement from a defender of torture, they actually are using such praise from neocons and war hawks to promote Clinton's candidacy. Glenn Greenwald tweeted out, Democrats today will celebrate that ex-CIA director accuses their opponent of being an unwitting agent of Russia. There's a few more over there. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
If he governs consistent with some of the things he said as a candidate, I would be very frightened.
He's been talking about the option of using a nuclear weapon against our Western European allies.
This is not somebody who should be handed the nuclear codes.
You have to ask yourself, do I want a person of that temperament control the nuclear codes? And as of now, I'd have to say no.
Interesting. Yeah, I always knew this Morell guy. It's just there's something. This guy's got whatever his story is. It's fucking frightening. He is a fucking lapdog piece of shit who will say whatever, whenever. All right, let's see what we got. Meet IDI. From Zero Hedge, this every move you make, every click you take, every game you play, every place you stay, they'll be watching you. For more than a decade, professional snoops have been able to search troves of public and non-public records, known addresses, DMV records, photographs of a person's car, and condense them into comprehensive reports costing as little as $10. Now they can combine the information with the kinds of things marketers know about you, such as which politicians you donate to, what you spend on groceries, and whether it's weird that you ate in last night to create a portrait of your life and predict your behavior. Boca Raton, Florida company database service called IDI Core combines public records with purchasing, demographic, and behavioral data. Chief Executive Officer Derek Dubner says the system isn't waiting for requests from clients. It's already built a profile on every American adult, including young people who wouldn't be swept up in conventional databases which only index transactions. We have data on a 21-year-old who's living at home with his mom and dad. He says these personal profiles include all known addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses, every piece of property ever bought or sold, plus related mortgages, past and present vehicles owned, criminal citations from speeding tickets on up, voter registration, hunting permits, and names and phone numbers of neighbors. The reports also include photos of cars taken by private companies using automated license plate readers, billions of snapshots tagged with GPS coordinates and timestamps to help private investigators surveil people or bust alibis. Dubner says most Americans have little to fear about this. Awesome, huh? WikiLeaks says Hillary supplied cash, weapons, and tanks to Al-Qaeda to kill Gaddafi and ship weapons for terror. It's a whole document there. Let's see what we got here. So, what we got here? What is this? For Hillary from Sid, lots of new intel, Libyan army possibly on verge of collapse. It's a full document. Over there. Over there. Hillary Clinton was a director of Lafarge, a company that does business with ISIS. Documents obtained by several journalistic investigations reveal that Lafarge has paid taxes to the terror group to operate its cement plant in Syria and even bought ISIS oil for years. Lafarge also has close ties to Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. Apart from being a regular donor to the Clinton Foundation, Clinton herself was a director of Lafarge in early 1990s and did illegal work for the firm in the 80s. During her connection to Lafarge, the firm was implicated in facilitating a CIA-backed covert arms export network to Saddam Hussein. Lafarge remains close to the Clintons to this day. In 2013, Lafarge executive vice president for operations Eric Olson was a featured attendee at the Clinton Global Initiative's annual meeting. The company is a regular donor to the Clinton Foundation. The firm's up to $100,000 donation was listed in its annual donor list for 2015. Lafarge is also listed again as a donor to the Clinton Foundation for the first quarter of 2016. Lafarge is a major beneficiary of disaster capitalism in Iraq, dominating a market where Iraq's infrastructure remains in dire need of hundreds of billions of dollars in investment. The company describes itself as one of the largest non-oil investors in Iraq. So right there, this is one of the reasons of many, I think one of the most pertinent reasons, is that the Clinton Foundation is locked into all of this all of this high profit stuff, all of these people, all of these companies that give money and lock in, and you would think some of it is, you would think that some of it is a possibly like legitimate type thing, but overall, this Clinton network has been set up, obviously set up for years, paving the way and setting up her presidency now. So, get ready. Get ready. I just don't even really see at this point, with the amount of corruption and the money and so many different things in her favor, and Trump being an absolute fucktard when it comes to not being able to keep his fucking mouth shut. It's pretty obvious that that he's really sabotaging the whole scene. He's a saboteur. Saboteur. Okay, well now. So it's a very interesting. But you know, it's a family affair. Hillary is of blood, like we've heard many times. So is Billy Boy. So is Billy Boy, and they've been at the core of the Obama presidency. I mean, all the things that they spoke about, all the things that were said during their run, Obama and Hillary fighting against each other in 2008, only for her to become the Secretary of State. You would think that he would be like, yeah, I don't know. She said, she called me a long-legged Mac Daddy. Something horrible. I don't know that I want her to be the Secretary of State. And then even if he said that, they'd be like, listen, monkey. Or, sorry, George Washington's cousin. 22nd great-grandson of William the Conqueror. She is going to be the Secretary of State, whether you like it or not. Donkey boy. So all these people are just, it's just all one big family. And that's why things move along and proceed the way they do. Same reason why Ronald Reagan wound up choosing George H.W. Bush as the vice president, who he apparently had no respect for, apparently didn't have a lot of nice things to say, but then, boom, bam, vice president. So it's all planned out. All this, I hate you, you're a stinking Republican, or you're a stinking Democrat. At the end of the day, they're all in bed together. "72 types of Americans that are considered potential terrorists in official government documents. Are you a conservative, libertarian, Christian, or a gun owner? Are you opposed to abortion, globalism, communism, illegal immigration, the United Nations, or the New World Order? Do you believe in conspiracy theories? Do you believe that we are living in the end times? Or do you ever visit alternative news websites such as this one? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you are a potential terrorist according to official United States corporation government documents. At one time, the term terrorist was used very narrowly. The government applied that label to people like Osama bin Laden and other Islamic jihadists. But now the Obama administration is removing all references to Islam from terror training materials, and instead the term terrorist is being applied to large groups of American citizens. And if you are the terrorist, that means that you have no rights, and the government can treat you just like it treats the terrorists that are being held at Guantanamo. So if you belong to a group of people that is now being referred to as potential terrorists, please don't take it as a joke. First step to persecuting any group of people is to demonize them. And right now, large groups of peaceful, law-abiding citizens or slave commoners are being ruthlessly demonized. Cool. Sweet. So nice. We're number one. We're number one. Okay, activist and Saunders, Colonel Saunders supporter who served papers to DNC on fraud case found dead. From the Gateway Pundit. Let's take a listen. All right, that's too long. That was just a short clip. This was before WikiLeaks released documents proving the DNC was working against the Saunders campaign during the 2016 primary. Nico House, just let everyone know, everyone with the DNC fraud suit filed in Florida tracking Sean Lucas's regretful passing. We have not spoken about it until we are sure. We have not spoken about it until we are sure what exactly happened. We will comment later as to how correlated his involvement. Okay. According to Snopes, which is a total bullshit fucking website, he was found on his bathroom floor. We contacted Lucas's employer on August 4th to ask whether there was any truth to the rumor. According to an individual with whom we spoke at the company, Sean Lucas died on the 2nd. The audibly and understandably shaken employee stated that interest in the circumstances of Lucas's death had prompted a number of phone calls and other queries, but the company had not yet ascertained any details about Lucas's cause of death and were unable to confirm anything more than the fact that he had passed away. An unconfirmed report holds that Lucas was found lying on the bathroom floor by his girlfriend when she returned home on the evening of the 2nd. Paramedics responding to her 911 call found no signs of life. This follows the death of 27-year-old staffer Seth Conrad Rich, who was murdered in D.C. on July 8th. The killer or killers appeared to have taken nothing from the victim, leaving behind his wallet, watch, and phone. See, that's what you would think if it was just somebody who was desperate and needed something, that they would have taken some of his stuff, but then they would have been able to track his phone, some of these other things. Shortly after the killing, Redditors, or from Reddit, and social media users were pushing a lead saying that Rich was en route to the FBI the morning of his murder, apparently intending to speak to special agents about an ongoing court case, possibly involving the Clinton family. So that's exciting, huh? More dead bodies behind the Clintons, right? Isn't that cool? And on June 22nd of this year, former UN official John Ash accidentally crushed his own throat and died a week before he was scheduled to testify against the Clintons and the Democratic Party. John Ash's died before his court appearance, right? He crushed his throat while he was exercising. It's all probably just a coincidence, right? I'm telling you, man, it's fucking crime families. This is a joke. This place is a fucking joke, and the people that occupy it are fucking jokes. Mayor of one of the richest towns in the U.S. busted selling meth for sex. Now, I didn't buy this from the very beginning. The mayor of Fairfax, Virginia, which is, and I was there probably about 4 years ago, traveling through that area. Most of the suburban Washington, D.C. area is just absolutely a beautiful land and just looks very expensive to even consider living in that area. He was arrested in an undercover sting during which he allegedly tried to arrange a drug deal with cops via a sex website. Fairfax County Police created a fake profile on a website used to organize sexual encounters between men in an operation to catch a person suspected of dealing methamphetamines online. So, I guess he's not playing the game, right? Terrorists behind Paris and Brussels attacks got over 50,000 euros in welfare. At least 5 terrorists involved in the Paris and Brussels terrorist attacks were receiving welfare benefits from the state. The Wall Street Journal reports, citing local authorities. Belgian financial investigators looking into the terrorist attacks found that Salah Abdeslam, charged with taking part in the Paris assaults, had collected 19,000 euros or $21,000 in welfare payments, which were stopped just weeks before the attacks were carried out in the French capital in November, the Wall Street Journal reports. However, Abdeslam should not have been receiving payments, as he partly owned a bar which he was managing at the time. Belgian officials say this made him ineligible for welfare. FBI rounds up 46 alleged members of New York crime families in a major bust. Almost 4 dozen alleged members of organized crime families were rounded up by the FBI on Thursday morning, including a reputed mafia boss in Philadelphia and an alleged old school mob in New York. Did we hear that reported on local news? Yeah. Prosecutors said that the charge sheet, including allegations of extortion, loan sharking, running illegal sports books, and healthcare fraud, as well as a string of colorful nicknames resemble an old-school mob novel or Martin Scorsese film. Okay. Yeah, and nothing that reported of a reputed mafia boss from Philadelphia. Sheriff raids house to find an anonymous blogger who called him corrupt. That's over at Blacklisted News. Clinton campaigners used Pokemon Go to literally lure voters. Prescription drugs are killing us. Meet one of the doctors who just published a paper about it. He'll be dead soon. The medical profession is being bought by the pharmaceutical industry now, not only in terms of practice of medicine, but also in terms of teaching and research. This was the plan all along. Many might say that a doctor saves lives and helps increase the average lifespan, but this is not true. Sure, they save a life here and there, but do they really relieve suffering? Patients extrapolate what doctors say, but they don't realize that while doctors do know about the diseases in depth, they know very little about the drugs they prescribe. Let's see here. The medical profession is being bought by the pharmaceutical, not only in terms of practice of medicine, is the same thing. The academic institutions of this country are allowing themselves to be the paid agents of the pharmaceutical industry. I think this has been part of the whole system from the very beginning. See, these people have this false understanding that medicine had some kind of, this do no harm fucking thing. That's just there on paper to make it look like and have you trust in doctors, because this Hippocratic oath says that to do no fucking harm, where in fact they've been doing fucking harm, mostly because they get trained as a doctor the way that the system wants them trained, and they don't like it says here, they don't fucking know anything about drugs. They don't know fucking shit about anything. All they're there for is to draw you the fuck in so that you can be diagnosed with something or misdiagnosed and then be prescribed a drug. I'm not going to have time to read this whole article here, but it's over at Blacklisted News. I'm going to post that in the chat. So yeah, we're running out of time here on Cold Reality Radio.
system of systems.
Rounds a minute, try to stop them. Don't put that on your wish list, that's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. They are nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum. Some perform shock and awe on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessing to the mercenary for the corporation selling weapons to them. Any potential competitor step into them. I'm authorized to knock them out and stick a GPS into them. They wanna sell uranium to Iran.